This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Colorado. I'm here introducing Whispers in Harmony, a nonprofit that will empower survivors of narcissist abuse through direct aid, advocacy, and systematic change. I'm joined here with the founder, survivor, Heather Davis. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Hi, thank you.
I'm going to start off a little bit about yourself. And you were formerly educated at Metropolitan State University of Denver, as well as Red Rocks Community College. As many nonprofits out there, many begin with a personal story, maybe even a related background. Before we discuss your vision for helping others, share with us, first of all, your past story that led you here today.
Sure. So I started at Metropolitan State University of Denver. I graduated with a 4.0, summa cum laude, with an acceptance into Columbia. At the same time I was graduating, I met a guy, which I've actually known since second grade. And I found him on Facebook, and 3 times he came up and I said, no, I don't want the drama, because he was wearing prison scrubs. The same time, I was also in a criminal justice ethics class. And it kind of taught me to not judge people by the cover. And so I didn't, and it ended up being my worst mistake ever. So we met, and he was really charming and funny and nice. He was the wronged bad boy. My parents hated him, of course, but, you know, we're stubborn like that. And over time, he started abusing me just a little bit. When he decided that we were going to go steady, he actually made me give up my best friend. He love bombed me. He's like, okay, we're going to be a couple officially. And then he took my phone and started ripping me a new one, which led us to Chipotle. And he was yelling at me in public about how I had to write this letter because my friend didn't like the post saying we were together, except for he had. I was just so shocked I didn't know what to do. And then it progressed like that over the years. And so then we started drinking, and well, with alcohol, that adds agitation, right? And the fights got worse, and they got physical. And there was one night where he pushed me off the back of his motorcycle, and I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And my parents were fighting with me too, but it was because of the information that he had picked up from them, you know, about how our relationships were. And my mom thought I was starting the fights, and then eventually we moved out, and then things got worse. It progressed to severe mental abuse, sexual abuse, and physical abuse, until he led me out to Hudson, Colorado, where there's like literally nobody. We lived on his father's nursery, and there was a woman there who he had passed me off to, like, especially while he was in jail, to make sure that I was stuck. And I didn't have any music, movies. I didn't have my phone because he had it 24/7. I had nothing. So when I came back, I had a really bad stutter from the biting, because anytime I'd try to say anything, he would interrupt me. I was 98 pounds when I came back, and so very skinny and unhealthy. And it took me a long time to get to where I am today. But I decided that nobody should have to go through what I went through. So I am trying to pave the way for everybody by figuring out how to get attorneys and preparing people in case they have family who's acting the way I was acting and not knowing how to deal with it.
What a story you have. And obviously your story comes from experience and pain. And so you can literally look at people and say, I've been there, I've done that, and really help them through the process. Before we discuss really everything that you're helping with everyone, the term narcissist is a label, I mean, we've all heard and are familiar with. It originated in the late 1800s, where it was used to define a psychological mind state. How do we define if someone is a narcissist, and do we all have the traits, would you say?
So I do believe that everybody has the traits. We're all out for ourselves, right? You have to protect numero uno first, or you can't do anything. But where it crosses the line with narcissists is they fall in love easy. They're very passionate. They'll like mirror you so that you feel like you found your perfect partner. And then they'll love bomb you. And so, like I said, in the first situation, it was creating the relationship, right? And then immediately once they love bomb you, then they bring in negative aspects that you're just like, whoa. So usually there's different types of narcissists. Mine was he was a showy one. You know, he wanted to be the best of the best. Like he always made sure that he had the nicest things and did the coolest stuff. But every single vacation we went on was ruined. Like he would take me back to the hotel room and we would fight. And our poor kids, like he has two kids of his own and I have mine. But they're like, what in the world is going on here? You know? But they brag, they show off, and they just fall in love easy, you know?
Excellent. I mean, like you said, these traits on the positive side, they seem great to the world because they're very charming people. They're successful many times. And so, like you say, but behind the scenes, a whole different story. Research suggests that men tend to exhibit more narcissist traits and are more likely to be diagnosed. But both men and women can be a narcissist. Should we use caution when using that term? What would you say?
I would say yes. The first time I heard about it really and understood it was back in 2022. It was December and I was on Facebook and it was very generalized at that point, right? So everybody was calling their spouses a narcissist when really they're not, you know, like just because your husband doesn't do the dishes after you cook dinner doesn't make him a narcissist. Um, it's abuse, you know, and people who haven't been through it don't necessarily understand it the same way. But what you know about it is like behind closed doors, you and your partner are fighting, but outside closed doors, they're like wonderful to the world. Everybody thinks they're great. You may have a problem.
I mean, like you said, though, early on, there were clear signs. We're talking about taking away your friends, taking away your phone, isolating you to a different part of the world. I mean, keeping you away from everyone. Let me ask you this. You yourself understand the abuse that takes place living with a narcissist. What is what is a professional? I mean, was it a professional or was it more of your own research that confirmed this diagnosis of the abuser?
So that was my own research. Well, I mean, there are professionals. They post stuff on Facebook all day long. And once you start to hear the exact same phrases that they used, it's like they went to school for it. It's insane. You wouldn't believe the things that they repeat, every single one of them.
Interesting. So, like you said, you started putting the dots together, matching up, and realize you've got something here. Once a woman realizes she may be living under the influence of a narcissist, what resources are actually available to her when she needs that help? And would you say they're limited?
They're very limited. It's really hard to find help because they put you in a place where you don't really understand what's wrong with you when there's not really anything wrong with you. It's what they're training you to do. And so if you have an inkling of it, I would say do research. I have asked so many people for help. The charities that are available, they won't help me. I've asked for lawyers because it actually is a case in human trafficking. Mine is. My story's not unique. It's just extreme. Um, it's crazy. There's nothing. So I do the research and find some therapists and get it started right away.
Interesting. I mean, because of your past experience and maybe lack of resources that you noticed, you decided to become an advocate. When
Mhm.
and why did you decide to take on this role?
So I had called several attorneys, and I think it was after my police brutality case got declined. I had talked to David Lane, and they were back and forth about it for about a year, and that's half the time that you have before it runs out of its statute of limitations. Um, And with that, it was like, why? Like Denver wronged me, Weld County and Park County, you know, you have all these counties that did wrong to you, and you're trying to get the one that actually physically hurts you. And they're like, nope, sorry. And then there's just so much in your head all at once when you come out of it, you know. A lot of it, what I've seen from survivors, a lot of it is they start with artistic things, which is no different. I did the same thing. I took a picture that I bought from the thrift store and put it on my phone and I started drawing on it to make it what I wanted it to be. And then I wrote some music and helped have the AI help me create it because, well, I'm not a singer. um, and so it's just, I don't know. It's an insane world.
It's just overwhelming going through
Hmm.
something like that and then trying to find a way to express yourself to people that really don't understand
Hmm.
whatsoever, be it family or friends. Many times they're well-meaning, but they really don't understand. They even themselves possibly gaslight you, making you wonder, what's going on. You hope to have many ways to empower women. One of those is in creating a nonprofit, Whispers in Harmony. Why that name?
Um, because victims of domestic abuse in general don't usually have a voice anymore. Um, I realized when he took my paper and my pen from me, that was everything. I went to school to be a journalist. I had no voice, and I'm like, are you kidding me? What in the world? So it's
Oh,
important that people keep track of their situations. And it's I came out of dissociation over 8 months after we had been split up. And so my friends and family didn't understand. So I wanted to take some survivors and their supporters, and I want to help them get PTSD training so that they can understand. But with that, the empowering women, it's it's also empowering men because men go through it too. There will be advocates for both sides. So it's about giving them their voice back and everybody understanding all together what's going on. And maybe we can help the whole world understand what's going on because nobody gets it.
yeah. And we're talking about there needs to be education on both sides, not only the victims, but the other side, people that are supporting you. You hope to provide critical resources, including food, hygiene essentials, gift cards. Touch on some of those resources and why they're needed, would you say?
So I base it off of my situation, and I literally went from um, middle to a little higher class family to homeless in a dirt hill place. And I couldn't buy anything. Anytime I had money for food, he would spend it on drugs. So it was really bad. Like I was calling my mom because I was starving to death. And she'd send money over and I still wouldn't be able to eat. Um, so the gift cards are essential in that. But also like if they can buy things that give them a little bit of serotonin or they can fix something up that makes the victims just a little more satisfied than usual, that will help boost their self-esteem and hopefully get them what they need to take care of themselves.
Today we live beyond a physical world. Abuse even happens in the digital world. How can cybersecurity services protect these women as well? And is that also something you hope to provide?
Absolutely. So cybersecurity is very important. As I said, he broke into my phone. He took it right away. And then anytime a password wasn't what he wanted it to be, he would hit forgot password and go to my email and change it to a password he could remember. So consequently, I have like 200 accounts that have the same password, and I'm working on getting them all changed, but it's more difficult than you would think. So getting cybersecurity involved, erasing all the crap that they put on the internet because there's so much stuff on about me on the internet that's not even true. Just from him doing whatever it was that he did. I have accounts that don't belong to me, really, they belong to him. It's insane. So if we could get the cybersecurity people in to help us figure it out and try and deal with it quickly and make sure they can't get back in, that would be best.
Let's face it, every relationship out there has fights. But what I'm seeing here are red flags that are not just during the fights. We're talking about every day something controlling. Every day you're basically trying to hold somebody down. Are those some of the red flags you would tell people to look for? Beyond just, okay, we had a fight, it got out of hand.
Absolutely. Um, it starts really quick too. It's kind of amazing how they'll raise the serotonin level just to drop it, right? Like they make you feel really good, really, really good. And then they'll hurt you. And then almost immediately they'll come pick you back up. In my situation, he was making me fight with my mom. And by doing that, it gave him the opportunity to play the knight in shining armor when he didn't really deserve it. So yes, absolutely. Pay attention to every red flag there is.
Pay attention to the daily flags, obviously. Collaborating with legal, tech, and other professionals, you will not only help women today, but really fight for long-term justice tomorrow as well as into the future. So really, this is systematic change you're hoping for.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, that is a lofty goal, as well as at the same time, it's something that needs to start. Education needs to start somewhere. In the past, you have been a freelance journalist, you said. You hope to maybe even write a book, The Jabberwocky's Whisper. Touch on that before we let you go.
So with Jabberwocky's Whisper, it's going to be for young adults because a lot of times this happens to young adults. And I want to put it in an interesting way that will draw them in. So it's a fantasy horror story, um, loosely based off of mine. I'll have the same kind of details because they're the ones that I know. And it'll talk about how they get together and how the little red flags start and how they're ignored, the symptoms that family and friends can recognize. That way, they don't have to maybe go through all the steps that I went through. And so
Excellent.
that one might actually be a series on its own because there's so many details that it's insane to write it all out.
Absolutely. And once you sit down and start writing all this and then mixing it in with things that people can relate with, I think it's a great way to share the story and also give some great tips on what people can do. Heather, your hope is to champion survivor-led mentorship and outreach, ensuring that healing and recovery will be guided by those who truly understand. So how can the public support your efforts and make your vision a reality?
Well, a lot of times the victims and survivors, they stay silent, but it's because they've been brainwashed too. So if I can get people to speak up about their abuse, which believe me, it took a minute. I didn't tell my mom what was going on, so she didn't know what was going on. She just thought I'd lost it, and I really hadn't. But as soon as I woke up from my disassociation and I had one clear voice in my head that was mine, I could explain to her what exactly happened. And so it started with figuring out what the problem was, and then speaking up about it, which brought us all back together. I haven't fought with my mom in like 5 months, so we're doing pretty good. So I need both victims and their supporters to come forward and just tell their story. I want them to tell their story.
Excellent. So we need the victims to come forward, come out of the shadows, let people know this is existing. And then obviously people, be it organizations or businesses, who can help in monetary ways as well. Obviously nonprofits, they need all the resources they can get. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is her professional profile on LinkedIn, where you can reach out and really support this organization that will reclaim stolen voices. They don't retaliate, they restore, they don't chase justice, they build it. So reach out today. Also, look for her book in the future. I mean, it's going to be a psychological thriller, really, that is in the works right now. Once again, that is Whispers in Harmony. So no survivor will be left behind. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.